actividades 11 y 12 a la página 83, both on the subject pronouns. And 11 we started to go over on Wednesday, but we didn't finish, so I'm gonna have you go ahead and just write out the different pronouns that you use there, and then actividad 12 deals with whether or not you would use tú, usted, or ustedes if you're addressing the people in the pictures. So I'll give you a few minutes to work on that on your own.
Man, it's really warm in here.
It is warm in here.
I just realized that.
Sunshine is coming in too.
So do you want me to start with number 1 for actividad?
Yeah, go ahead. Salud.
Is ustedes you all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, ustedes is always going to be plural. Finita?
Almost.
Almost. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bueno. Okay, so for actividad 11, we have Carlos would be
El,
and Felipe y yo.
nosotros,
Okay, María y Sarita.
ellas,
Good. Pablo, Tomás y Anita.
ellos,
Ellos. El señor Tervino.
él,
And, good. And then tú y Esteban.
vosotros,
which one?
Vosotros.
Yeah, you can use vosotros or ustedes,
Okay.
either one.
Okay.
Yeah, either one there. Okay, good. And then, so for actividad 12, número 1, how would we address her here?
Usted.
Yeah, probably. Okay, número 2.
Two.
Número 3.
Two.
Número 3, probably usted.
Usted.
Yeah, since he's an older guy there.
Okay.
Yeah. Número 4.
Ustedes.
Ustedes, good. Número 5.
Usted.
Yeah. Número 6.
I said ustedes. 'cause
Yeah, it's multiple
plural.
people. Yeah. Ustedes, ustedes and vosotros. Well, ustedes you can use for multiple people,
Mhm.
whether it's formal or informal. So like you would use ustedes to a group of your friends, you would also use ustedes to a group of your teachers. Vosotros you would just use in an informal sense in Spain. So you would use it with your friends in Spain, basically. Okay, it's kind of confusing, all the different uses here, but, número 7.
I put two.
Yeah, anybody younger than you who's just one person too. Y número 8?
Usted.
Good, okay, okay, so turn the page, and today we'll look at we'll actually be getting to, conjugate verbs in the present tense. So I'm gonna have you copy down the yellow table here, and I'm gonna write these up on the board as well so Lauren can see. So, like with the French language, Spanish is very similar in terms of conjugating verbs. There are 3 major sets of regular verbs. And today we're looking at the AR verbs. So obviously these are verbs that end in the letters AR. This is probably the most prevalent group. So most of the verbs that you come across in Spanish will be regular AR verbs. So we'll put this up here, regular AR verbs. Conjugation or present tense. Okay, so what happens is we have an example of an infinitive verb like hablar. Hablar by itself means to speak. Well, what if we want to put it into a sentence with by itself? Well, what we have to do then is we have to just take off the AR, and so we're left with the stem HABL. So we'll put the stem here. Move these down. So we'll go ahead and write up all of our different pronouns here. So something that's kind of nice is that él, ella, and usted all always take the same form of the verb. And the same thing for ellos, ellas, and ustedes. They all share the same form of a verb, not just with hablar, but with all AR verbs, with all verbs actually. Okay, so for the yo form, we'll take I'm gonna write these stems here in red. And then I'll put the endings in another color.
So this is really similar to French.
It's very, very similar. Yeah, it's very similar. Okay, so our yo ending for regular AR verbs is just the letter O. And so now it becomes yo hablo. And in English, yo hablo can mean 2 different things. It can mean I speak or I am speaking. Then for the to form, make sure I'm writing down all the right letters here. For the to form, we've got AS. So it becomes tú hablas. And again, tú hablas can mean you speak or you are speaking. Then for él, ella, and usted, we just have the letter A, habla. For nosotros, we've got amos, so it becomes hablamos. And then the vosotros form, these are always the ones that stump me a little bit. Okay, so habláis, and here we've got the letters A-I-S, and we have the accent mark over the letter A. So that's where we'll put the emphasis. And then for our they forms and you plural, we've got hablan, A-N. Okay. And like we said before, typically you leave out the pronoun word, right, when you're speaking. So, for example, if you want to say, I speak Spanish, you would just say, hablo español. And that's your whole sentence.
Because the I is implied.
Right.
Because you have the O on the
because
end.
you've got all the different verb forms. If you hear as at the end, you know it's we're speaking to you, right? If you hear just it's got to be one of these. And you have to rely on the context. Are they talking to you, or are they talking about he or she? Okay, so let's go over the pronunciations, and then we'll practice with some other verbs as well. So we have yo hablo,
Yo hablo,
tú hablas,
tú hablas,
él habla,
él habla,
ella habla,
ella habla,
usted habla,
usted habla,
nosotros hablamos,
nosotros hablamos,
vosotros habláis,
vosotros habláis,
habláis, good. Ellos hablan,
ellos hablan,
ellas hablan,
ellas hablan,
ustedes hablan.
ustedes hablan.
Good. Okay. So if we were to use another regular AR verb, let's see here. I'm trying to think of another one that we know. We know several already, but let's see. Like escuchar, right? Like escuchar música. So to listen. This is another regular AR verb. So what would the yo form sound like?
Escucho.
Yeah. Escucho, right? And then we'd have tu escuchas, yeah, etc. Okay. Yeah, so pretty simple once you know the formula there. You just drop off the AR and then you add on these endings. Okay. Let's see here. See if I missed any notes here. Okay, so underneath the talking mouth picture here, the very last point says subject pronouns are often used if you want to emphasize or clarify, if you're talking about a male or a female. So it is still correct to use the pronoun. You can still say ella habla inglés, pero él habla español, but you don't have to use it. Okay, bueno, so let's see here.
I feel like it would get confusing because the boy and girl, or he and she, and you.
Yeah.
You don't know which one they're talking about.
Right.
So
You don't. Yeah, so for learning purposes in Spanish class, it's a little easier to just go ahead and use the pronouns. But if you hear a native speaker talking, they usually don't use them. So you just depend on the context. But okay, so let's try an exercise. I'm going to give you some time to write these out first, and then we'll go over them out loud. So, actividad 14 over on page 85. Look at the pictures and tell what these people are studying. So we're specifically using the verb estudiar, and I'll write that up here. Okay, so we'll drop off the AR and then add on the endings.
For mathematics, do you need to put a la?
Matemáticas. No, you don't have to. You don't have to in Spanish. Yeah, if you look up at the Modelo, it just says Tomás estudia música. He doesn't say la música there.
Would you assume for number 2 that Yo is a girl?
Yeah, I guess you're pretending that it's you
Mm-hmm.
yourself, so yeah, that's fine. ¿Lista? Okay. Okay, so, ¿qué estudia Laura?
Laura estudia matemática.
Bueno, okay. Well, I'm not gonna ask the question because then I'll give away the answer. So, número dos, what do you have there?
Josefina, Elena y yo estudiamos arte.
Good. Okay. Número tres.
Tú estudias inglés.
Okay. Número cuatro.
Catalina y José estudian español.
Good. Joaquín y tú.
estudias tecnología.
Okay, there,
I don't, how do you pronounce it?
estudian.
Estudian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, estudian, because if we're talking to Joaquin and you meaning another person, right? Because yo really means you,
Mhm.
like I, okay.
Mhm.
So in that case, we'd want the ustedes form. And so that's the same as the ellos and ellas. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because we're talking about Joaquin and then you, so it'd be like you guys plural. I think that's what they want there. Estudian.
Okay.
And then tecnología or computadora. Okay, and then for yo.
Yo estudio ciencias sociales.
Good. Okay, bueno. Okay, I'm gonna have you write out one more exercise and then I'll check it and then I'll let you go for the day. Over on page 86, actividad 16, so it says en la escuela. So here, you're doing the same thing, only this time they're giving you some different verbs to choose from, all regular AR verbs, and we want for you to pick out the right conjugation. You don't need to rewrite the whole sentence, just put number one and then the verb form that you would use.
Is number 3 necesitar?
Well, necesitar is to need, and since it's a regular AR verb, you go ahead and end it in O.
Oh, I was just wondering which one to use, which verb to use.
Oh, which verb?
So,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm
so-
sorry. Yeah, I would use necesitar
Okay.
there.
What is enseñar again?
Enseñar is to teach.
Okay. I don't know how to put number 5.
Number 5, okay. So the quién means who.
Oh, who? Okay.
Yeah,
So
who.
teacher.
Yep.
How would you conjugate that? Because you don't know.
Well, you do the same thing that you would do in French with question words. You know it's just gonna be one person, right, who
Okay.
teaches it, and it's gonna be a guy or a girl, so you just wanna use like the el, ella, and usted form of the verb.
Okay.
Okay, finita, okay. Bueno, so for numero uno, go ahead and read the whole sentence and then fill in with the correct verb form.
Lupe y Guillermo dibujan mucho en la clase de arte.
Good, okay, and what would that sentence mean then, if you were to translate it to English?
Lupe and Guillermo draw a lot in art class.
Good, okay, how about numero dos?
Tú usas la computadora en la clase de tecnología.
You were right the first time, clase.
Oh, clase.
En la clase de tecnología. Good, okay, número tres.
Yo necesito una calculadora y una carpeta para la clase de matemáticas.
Good. Okay, número cuatro, Tomás y yo.
Tomás y yo practicamos deportes en la clase de educación física.
Good. Número cinco, ¿quién?
¿Quién enseña la clase de ciencias naturales?
Good. Y número seis?
Marta habla mucho en la clase de español.
Excelente, good. Okay, very nice job. Okay, we'll stop there. Have a great weekend.
No homework?
No, Lauren has homework, but you don't. She gets to do the exercises that you did in class.